Laura A. Grace here, and as you guys can see, I'm with another special guest, and I'm super duper excited. We are continuing the manga making process, but today is our last special interview, and guys, I just cannot wait for you guys to chat with Trey. Trey McIntosh, welcome. I'm so excited to see you.
It's good to be here.
Well, can you totally introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I'm Trey McIntosh. I'm a writer, freelance author, and mangaka, so manga writer.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for the past 10 years.
Can we just take a moment to say how awesome that is, that you've been working for like 10 years? Like, I feel like you have reached mangaka status since what? They work on their manga for like that amount of time and even longer. Like, that is just amazing.
Yeah, it is a feat that I've stayed sane this long.
Well, what are some of your top favorite like anime or manga or combination?
Yu Yu Hakusho. Coming to France, I binge watched that, and that reminded me of why that's my favorite series.
Yeah.
I'm fond of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I loved it since I was a kid, not when everybody magically became a JoJo fan.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, I grew up with that.
Same here.
Me and my fiance love Samurai Champloo.
I have not seen that one. Now, is that one an anime or is it just a manga?
It's an anime.
It is. I have not. Where did you stream it at?
We were watching it on Hulu when we watched it,
Okay.
but it should be on Netflix now.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. I've been really curious about that one. Also, I admire that you watch or that you're a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I've seen like little clippets and I was like, this really does look bizarre. The art's so pretty though.
Yes, because the artist, he works a lot in Italy, so his style just kept evolving as time went on.
Okay.
Because at first his style looked like Fist of the North Star, and there's a reason because he was Fist of the North Star's manga creator's assistant, and then went on to do his stuff. So that's why the first three story arcs look closely the Fist of the North Star.
Right.
Then when he did Diamond is Unbreakable, started becoming more of his own style.
Okay.
And it cemented his own style when he did Steel Ball Run.
Okay.
So that's part 6 in JoJo.
Okay. Okay, interesting. I did not realize that. He definitely has a really unique art style that's really cool. I mean, like, you definitely know that this is JoJo, you know, like, there's no denying that, which is cool, I think it's cool when they have those unique art styles like that.
Yeah, that just shows evolution. Plus, JoJo's been running since 1987, I believe.
What?
1986 or 7.
I had no idea. I had no idea at all.
Yeah, it's been running since 1987 or 1986, and it's still going.
Wow. That is impressive. I had like zero idea at all. Now, is that the anime or the manga, or is that both of them?
The manga. The anime, well, the anime had like three adaptations. The first one was the adaptation of the second half of Stardust Crusaders, which is the part that everybody knows. And then in 2003, they did like another adaptation to adapt the first half of it.
Okay.
And then the third one is the one everybody knows now, the one that's running now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of manga, would you be willing to share a little bit about your work and like what you do?
Oh boy. All right. So basically, I'm a writer. The manga that everyone would know me by is a manga I worked on with a company called Noir Caesar called Exogenesis, where it's basically, I'd want to say superpowered pro wrestling with super suits, but it's more akin to MMA.
That sounds awesome. That's an awesome mashup right there.
Yeah, they came to me with the idea. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. It's not my concept. They conceived it. I just wrote it for them.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Now, from my understanding, you have published your manga at some point. What was it like knowing that your actual manga was in the world?
The manga that I published, Azure Epic, it was pleasant. It was pleasant to say that. I know some people, after reading a chapter, they immediately said, "Oh, this needs to be an anime."
That is such like awesome feedback. That's awesome.
Like, I just had people going like, "You're making this into an anime, right? Oh, this looks so great." And I said, in due time, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, does that mean that you had a really strong, excited reaction from readers then that were reading it?
Yeah, those that actually read it, because come to find out that, well, people really don't keep up with stuff. I had to go on a hiatus several times. due
Okay.
to, let's just call it art problems.
Okay.
Once you don't update with people, the algorithms would basically bury you.
Oh, that's so hard. So did you release like yours in chapters, like a weekly or monthly kind of chapters?
I release them every Monday, and I release like 5 pages of a chapter.
Oh, okay. Where were you releasing it at?
I released it on Webtoons, so each entry was basically a part. So
Okay.
like episode one, part one, and I was just releasing pages.
Yeah, yeah. So what was that like releasing on Webtoons? Like, was that an intimidating process to get everything on there, or was it fairly simple to do?
Well, I had to read the instructions on how to get everything looking all right. And all
Okay.
it just took was some quick studying and converting the pictures.
Mhm.
And it was an easy process. Well, for me, I
Yeah.
know everybody can't profess to be, well, not to sound arrogant. I know everyone find things difficult,
Right. I know
but
what
for
you
me,
mean.
it was easy.
Okay, well that's really good because I can imagine that would be sort of stressful if you're uploading every single Monday and then having issues getting it up there and looking correct and everything.
Like I literally had someone at job saying how much they liked it.
That is awesome. That is so cool. Well, what was your favorite part of the whole manga making process?
The writing it, basically coming up with characters and actually seeing the work created on the page.
Yeah, yeah, because you script write all of your stories, is that right?
I
So
outline them and then I script them.
that's awesome. Do you draw any of the character profiles or anything, or your illustrator does that?
The illustrator does that. I write the character profiles and I find reference pics to put the characters together.
Okay, okay. Now, where have you mainly, I don't know how many illustrators you've worked with, but where did you find your illustrator at?
The illustrator for Azure Epic that everyone knows, I found him on Instagram
Really?
and commissioned him to draw a picture of two of the main characters,
Okay,
then just presented the project to him and he agreed to do it.
cool. Wow, that's really exciting. So, I mean, did you use like hashtags to find him, or did you just somehow, you guys' paths crossed and then you guys decide to work together?
I think someone else commissioned him and that's how I found his profile.
Okay.
And so I just spoke to him on Instagram and we went from there.
That's really, really cool. Well, on the days you're unsure, and like I said, with art issues that come up, or just like if you're having like writer's block kind of thing, what did you do to inspire yourself or keep going to work towards publication for your manga?
I played a lot of video games.
Oh, yeah?
Because Azure Epic is partially inspired by JRPGs from the 90s.
Really?
So a little bit of, well, one particular game, Skies of Arcadia, that helped a lot. And
That's
then
awesome.
another game, Mega Man Legends.
Mega Man's always a game I've wanted to play, but every time I played it, I like fail horribly at that game. Like I just don't get very far, even though I really enjoyed playing it. I've only played one of them. I don't know which one it is, but I've always been sad, and I'm like asking my brother to help me move forward rather than like me actually beating it myself.
Oh,
Sorry, I know that was
goodness.
sort of off topic, but when you said Mega Man, it made me think of that. That's cool. So video games, like, is it a certain genre of video games or anything like that that inspire your stories or inspire your process at all?
Action, adventure, fantasy,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah, because
So,
I know we've talked about Zelda, I think it was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, how
mhm.
the background and just the beauty of the game is really inspiring. It is, of wanting to take screenshots and just sort of
I've
like,
been taking an absurd amount of screenshots of that game. Every
yeah,
time a cutscene came up, I'm just screenshot, screenshot,
yes.
screenshot for every frame so I can study it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're studying, what are you looking for in your studies?
Well, when I study a frame or something I'm looking at, I just go, how would this character approach this situation? And then I just put them in a situation and write it for it to make sense for them.
Yeah, I love that. That is so awesome. Do you find that the characters in the game ever distract from your studies of what you're doing?
Not often. I
Okay.
know I have to catch myself so that it won't sound just like it,
Okay.
that I
Yeah.
won't turn into writing a carbon copy of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know some people would like study so many things for their processes. And while I have my own methods of madness, I can't really say that I study that all the way. I just look and my brain starts filling in the blanks. Like once I see something that makes sense, it'll start grabbing and filling in the blanks, going like, you can do it like this, you can do it like that.
I love that. That is just so exciting because I recently have gotten back into video games and I have definitely found it very inspiring for my own process. And I have a story where Zelda reminds me of like, I remember why this inspired my own personal story with that, because just the beauties of these games, especially the newer ones where, I mean, you could just get just lost in them, you know, so to speak, especially time-wise. No. With you mentioning that you've worked with a company and whatnot, I'm imagining you've worked with other manga creators or other manga writers. How has that impacted your own process of writing?
Well, my process of writing is really fast. I just say I need to outline the chapters so that when I start scripting, I'm just going through it.
Right.
Some people would usually take, I'd say, a couple of days to write a script. Me, it normally takes me, say, 3 hours.
Wow.
For Exogenesis, I wrote the entire first volume in 12 hours.
Really? Now, did you make any, like reading back over it, did you make any changes to what the script that you originally wrote?
Yeah, I just started working through it, and more like I correct as I go if I mess something up.
Okay.
And I'm just looking and basically choreographing as I'm going so that not only will it flow right, it'll flow with the panels.
Right. Now, you don't do the storyboard, right? Like you don't draw out the storyboard, you just do the script writing?
I know the artist at Exogenesis really wanted me to do the storyboard, and I'm going like, that's not me. I'm not good at it at all. Yeah. All I can do is convey it on page.
Right. I feel that so very much because I did that with my Illustrator. I was like, here's my really loose script. Can you do all the other stuff? Because I'm like, I see it in my head, but like getting it out on page where like I feel like even trying to do it with stick figures was really hard because I'm like, this is not going to look as beautiful as your work is going to be.
I know for a cartoon idea I have called Cheshire, I hired an artist that I'm friends with, and he drew like a beat board, basically like how the story beats of the pilot episode would go. And I'm going like, I really wish this was a cartoon.
Yeah.
No, I strive so much to mix Dragon Ball, Sonic, Mario, and Kirby in that, and surprisingly, it came together well.
That is so cool. Like, that just sounds epic having, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Well, what do you do, like when you're writing and you're getting feedback, like you said, of like, man, I wish this was an anime or a cartoon. How do you cope with that? Because, I mean, I don't know how much it takes to, or like the work involved to turn a manga into an anime. Like, what do you do with that?
Well, I started working on pitch Bibles so that when the time comes, I can just give a pitch Bible to a company and see how they like it. Like I pitched both Azure Epic and Cheshire to Frederator Studios. They did, they did Fairly Odd Parents, all the Butch Hartman stuff.
Wow.
And now they're doing Bee and Puppy Cat, Bravest War. They did Adventure Time.
Okay, yeah.
And they basically wanted me to change everything to match what's called the Cal Arts style, how all the cartoons are looking now. Yeah. Like superform characters with stringy arms and stuff.
How did you respond to that? Because that seems like I haven't seen all of your art, but I feel like that's very different than what you first imagined.
It's like when I told everybody about the results of the meeting, because they were like waiting to see if the meeting would go well, and I told them the results, they said, that really sounds like a cop-out from them, because one of them said that both my concepts can easily be imitated by someone who gives it enough thought after an hour. And I said, well, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, I'm about to say, what exactly does that mean?
Say they want to create something that's super unique that no one can just go and make their own version of it after giving it an hour's worth of thought. And I said, well, they can make something similar, but it won't be mine.
Exactly. Goodness, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, that makes me sort of like, well, yeesh, that's not very thoughtful in their feedback.
It's all right. It wasn't good feedback. So everyone just said that that's kind of a cop-out from them.
Yeah.
And that they just want another either Steven Universe or Adventure Time, because that's really what it sounded like. They wanted me to cater to that crowd. Right. But I said, no, I'm catering to the Saturday morning cartoon crowd what I
Yes.
grew up with.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely like, I miss those Saturday mornings. Like, that was the absolute best growing up. You know, like, there was nothing like that Saturday morning of watching those cartoons.
Exactly. I wanted to make a manga that would evoke the feeling of a adventure on a Saturday morning.
Yeah. Do you keep an eye out for companies that are accepting pitches? I don't know if you need, I guess, what would be equivalent of an agent in the writing community pitching to a traditional publisher? Do you need a middleman or anything like that?
Well, I know that some places don't want unsolicited pitches, which
Okay.
means that they basically want a chance onto it, then contact you directly to send them a pitch. So I've had indie groups ask me for pitches, but nothing came out of them. But no big company has asked me for a pitch yet. Most of them would say either they're work for hire studios or they don't want unsolicited pitches.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds like you're standing strong though in not giving up. Hopefully see, your manga turn an anime or a cartoon. Like, that's so encouraging. And I mean, really exciting that you're at a place where you can do that. Like, I can't even imagine that for my own manga right now. Like, so it's really amazing.
I'm doing my best. Through God's grace, I've done it.
Yeah, well, you're definitely doing amazing. I mean, I definitely feel that. And for those who are just starting out and wanting to write manga and hopefully get to where you're at of being able to pitch to companies, what advice would you give to them?
Keep at it. No
Keep
matter
at it.
what, keep at it. And write. Find a reason to write every day. Even when you don't feel like it, write. Even if it's a journal entry or if it's just notes or you're just brain dumping on the page, just write. Because you want to make it into a habit. That way, when you get an idea, it'll just come out with the brain dump or, yeah, let me go do this. Not you have to psych yourself up to write.
That's really good advice because I don't usually write every day. I mean, I brainstorm, I feel like, every day, but actually like putting the words on page, I'm not doing. I think that's really good advice. And especially too, because I think if you're making a habit of it, it'll come naturally to you. You're not going to be like, okay, I have this new idea, but when am I going to have time to write it? You're naturally like, I have time because you've made that part of your daily routine, so to speak.
Because my fiance, one time I was kind of complaining that I couldn't get stuff out. She just literally took some paper and just said, okay, tell me what your thoughts are.
Really? That is so amazing that you have that kind of support because I can imagine that's very essential to just the process in general, especially when things come up or you get, not the kinds of advice from a person you pitch to. I mean, I can imagine that support is just
You need a support circle. Even if it's your significant other, you do need a support circle because it does get lonely when everybody feels like you're on top of things when really you're just trying to maintain as best as you can. You do need a support circle.
How have you come about finding yours? Where can other people go to find that support circle that's outside of, like, say a significant other or close family? Because I definitely feel those are like our rocks, so to speak, for our journeys.
Having good rapport with them is one thing. And basically being open with them, saying, I'm embarking on this journey as a writer and I really need support. Not just like say, hey, read this. Level with them, because when you want people to look at your stuff, your friends are like the worst people to go to most of the time because they'll just, if they're not into what you're into, they'll say that, oh, I got your back or I support you, or they'll just like your statuses without really going into it.
Right.
So you just like level with them saying, I need your support in this. Okay, even if it's just you don't like it, just say you don't like it. At least I know you read it.
Yeah. That's really well said. Yeah, because I think, like I said, when you're excited for something like this, excited for a story, it can be. I feel like it can be maybe upsetting. I don't know if that's the right word for both, us and the person, because obviously we want them to react excitedly because we're excited. That's an important thing to us. And I think, like I said, just having that honesty and that frankness there, that it does make a difference.
Exactly. You just need them there. And then even then, the hardest tribulation, it'll just become gritting your teeth and bearing it because they'll be at your side.
Yeah, that is so wonderfully said. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share about the manga making process or publication or anything like that?
Also, to up and coming creators, don't just read manga, read other things, read normal books. Watch shows, go outside and just look around. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there's a mangaka named Rohan Kishibe. He literally bought an entire mountain range just to get research for a story he was doing.
Wow.
This man does pretty wacky stuff. He now has an anime on Netflix.
That's amazing. Now, I am curious. So, one of the things, I've read a lot of novels, and when I was writing my manga, I struggled with imposter syndrome because I was like, I have not really read any manga up to this point. Like, how could I be writing a manga? But you're encouraging to read novels as well. Why do you say that?
Because when you read just manga, that's all you're going to be set to doing. You're going to be trying to be like this, be like him, be like Tite Kubo, be like Masashi Kishimoto, be like Akira Toriyama, instead of just being a writer who is writing manga.
I absolutely love that.
Imitate. That's what triggers imposter syndrome. You're imitating. Then when you catch it, you go like, oh, crap, I'm not original.
Yeah,
There's one artist that I know, Nicholas Draper Ivory. This man literally looks at fashion magazines and just takes inspiration from a lot of stuff, from life itself.
Yeah.
He lives in New York. He uses that as like his primary inspiration, and nobody can say he's copying from anything.
Right.
So I commend him on that. So I say follow in his footsteps. Take inspiration from everything. Read.
Yeah. I love that. Like, I can't tell you how much that personally, like, speaks to my heart because, yeah, imposter syndrome is a very real thing for me. And I think, like, what you're saying just hits the nail on the head. I mean, obviously, I think it's important to read manga, maybe not, like, exclusively, but just so that you have that mindfulness of, you know, learning how, I guess, for me, like, the panels flow and such.
Mm-hmm.
But that is just
process and the technique.
Yes.
Don't predominantly read it, because the reason why people would prefer to just read manga is because they have short attention spans. They want to be entertained.
Right. I can admit that I have seen a difference in my reading attention span going from reading a lot of manga going to novels, that it is a hard transition because my brain's like, well, if this was a manga, we'd be done tonight, but this is a novel, I'll be done in a few days. Not that that's bad, but I definitely realize that there can be a little bit, sometimes for me personally, like a little bit of a struggle there with that.
Yeah, they don't have any patience. They want to see what happens. And then it get even worse when you're watching an anime, because you get more of a creative high when you watch anime, because you're seeing it come to life in front of you.
Yes.
And it's like everybody instantly wants to imitate that.
Yes. That is really, really well said. So how do you handle all these things? Like, this is such wise advice. Like, I feel personally really encouraged by what you're saying. This is just really cool.
Starting off as a professional writer, I had to work without an artist for so long. So I learned how to be more visual with my words. Mm-hmm. So when I see something that excites me, I convert it into words. And then I learn how to make that flow.
Yeah. So how did you go about doing that then? Because, like, I mean, I don't know if that's something that's easily able to describe, but I mean, that is one reason I want to write manga, is because I just don't like writing descriptions. I enjoy reading it, but writing it, I'm just like, let's just get a pretty picture and you can just look at that and that we'll call it a day. What advice, I guess, would you give for me to get out of that mindset that, I mean, because you're not the first person I've talked to that's like, you need to have description, like that really helps your illustrator. And I'm just like, well, can't my illustrator just see what's in my head? That's not the right thing to say. But I know at the back of my mind, I struggle with that because it's just easier to see the pretty picture, but you got to have the words to get the picture.
Okay, the simplest way I can say it is that write down your description, then look at it and ask yourself, does this sound right? Do I picture this as I'm writing it? Or does it look like I'm just putting it down on the paper and going like, figure it out? Oh. And then let other eyes see it, like normal people see it. Let all the mundanes look at it. See if it invokes the same feeling in them.
That's
really then you let the creative see it.
Yeah. Because I can imagine the creative could give input that would help from a creative aspect to, here's maybe what you can do to get, like you said, those words more visual so that other people, when they see it, they're feeling that same emotion that we are when we're actually writing it. That's
basically tell them what you're trying to convey, then ask them, does this convey what I just said?
Right. And I can imagine that for a person, even that's not writing manga, that could be extremely helpful when going into, say, writing novels or writing any other kind of medium, that can be really helpful in that regard.
Like, I teach writing as well, and one way that I teach is for them to figure out their writing styles. I say, pick your favorite author, just copy a page of theirs. Just copy a page, and then take that same page, write it in your own words, and just keep doing that. You'll see that it's not rote memorization, it becomes muscle memory.
Okay.
That your brain is like figuring out how to do it properly.
Right.
In its own way.
Yeah. I will have to try that exercise because that seems really helpful, because there's not many times where I feel like my writer brain turns on when I'm reading, but I can think of a few authors where I was like, I just want to study this writing because it's just so beautiful. Like, I mean, I don't know any other way to describe that, but wow.
I did the same thing with Aragon, because Aragon is the book that inspired me to write fantasy. And all I did, I just literally copied the prologue chapter, then did it again, trying to see if I could recreate it from memory.
Yeah.
Then just kept practicing until it started looking right.
Right. Yeah. That is just so awesome. I know I've said that probably like numerous times right now, but I am just so personally encouraged by your words. I mean, I feel fired up to not be as nervous to even try to write novels, because I have a lot of friends that do, and that is something I would like to try, but I'm definitely like, I cannot write like everybody else. I'm like, I'm gonna write manga because nobody else is doing that. I mean, there's other reasons. So I super just appreciate you sharing all this, Trey. Like, it is just so encouraging and inspiring. And how can we, or where can we connect with you and such?
Well, mostly you can connect with me on Facebook, and I also do have a website for my portfolio.
And also, is there any way that we can read your manga or read any of your works that you have published online or anything?
What I chose to upload is also on the portfolio.
Okay, cool. I am definitely have to go check it out. Like, this interview was just personally so timely for me. And again, Trey, I really, really appreciate you just chatting with us and sharing your wisdom with us. I hope that you will be able to turn your manga and such into an anime so that we can all just like fangirl over your work, because it just sounds incredibly awesome. Incredibly awesome.
Yeah, I agree because I'd love to actually show my mom, going like, look, Mom, this thing I've been writing all this time, it's an anime.
Well, again, thank you, Trey, so much for chatting with us. This was totally amazing, and I'm sure many people will be touched, and I will definitely leave your links down below, everyone, so you guys can go check out his manga and his portfolio. Definitely go check it out. Well, thanks again. I'll talk to you later.
All right, everyone.
Bye. Guys, oh my goodness, I hope that you loved that interview with Trey. I was so personally encouraged. I hope that you are too. I hope you feel inspired and motivated to work on your manga, because your words matter, my friend. They totally matter. I hope that you have just enjoyed all the special guests that we have interviewed this past month of February. It has been just such a blessing to me personally, and I truly hope it has to you as well. Stay tuned, because for the month of March, I am going to be sharing a lot of how I connected with my Illustrator, things I need to have on hand before we move forward, as well as just the process of working with an Illustrator. I'm really, really excited. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!